Welcome back to the 16th video, and we're going to try to get our power up working here. Um, Power up one is a little bit complicated, so we'll see how it goes. Just be patient with me here. One thing, we've got this error here, so let's just pop these in. Just put this, whatever the power up is. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second, but that should fix any errors. If you're worrying about the errors in your code, if we put this in here, whatever one we're referring to, we should be able to either add that power up or remove that power up. So the first power up that we'll do is sort of a, increase the rate of fire, right? So a typical power up, and we'll use something sort of like a delay multiplier to increase that shot. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the player weapon here, and basically we're going to be able to sort of run through a variety of power-ups, right? Because in here we had the list of power-ups that we had, right? So that list of power-ups. So we're going to run through these. Let's go for the first into fire here. We're going to create a variable called float, and we'll set the delay. I guess I'll call this delay, maybe P for power-up, is equal to the delay, because we had a delay already. So what we're doing here is taking the delay, right, which we already had, and then setting this delay P. And then we're going to do this for each, whoops, it's all one word here. So for each, and then var the power up, okay, in power ups. So that's in our list of power ups. I guess we could put brackets around here. We will set the delay, just a second, delay, be times equal the power up, whatever the power up is, times a delay, dot delay multiplier. And so that will be a method, which we haven't created yet, which we'll do right now, but that should get it to speed up. So, and the idea here is if you do multiple, you could even get it going faster and faster. But the idea here is that it will run through that power up, and then that delay, we're going to modify the delay, we're going to multiply that delay. Now we're going to multiply it by a number less than 1 so that it will actually speed it up, right? So if you multiply it by, say, 0.25 or 0.5, that delay will be reduced. So to continue on here, so we need to go back to our power up and create this delay multiplier. So I'm going to come back onto here. I guess it doesn't really matter where. So this would be a float. And what do we call that? Delay multiplier. And we'll do it as a, so this is expression body property. We'll set this just to a variable, which will be our delay multiplier. So this is just going to be the variable that we can modify. And so I'm just going to come up here and change that to a serialized field again. And this will also be a float, and that will be our just the variable that we just created there, that delay multiplier. And actually that should be a lowercase one. There we go. So delay multiplier, that should give us an error. Good. And then when we come back up here, delay multiplier. All right. So make sure I spelled that right. Multiplier. Make sure there's no errors there. Good, no issues. That looks good. Okay, so save these guys up. I think we're getting pretty close to it working here. One thing that I noticed I didn't do is I didn't make this public, which gave me an error on the other script. So let me just make sure. So public float, and then just making sure that this player weapon is okay. So that's good now. This was giving me an error here. Now, I think this is kind of ready to work. There are some issues, I know. Let's just take a look here. Load that script in. So on my power up, which is here, so I do have the script. I'm going to set this to 10 as the duration, so it will last for 10 seconds. And then I'm just going to set my delay multiplier to like 0.1. Now that may be too fast, but at least we can sort of see what's going on here. Now there's also going to be issues, I think, with collision. So let's just set that up right away. On our shot, so I'm going to go to our prefab, our blaster shot, it is on the default layer. And what might happen is they might start connecting with each other. So we're actually going to create a new layer, and we're going to create a shot layer. And while we're here too, we might as well create a player layer. Okay. So we're going to put, let's go and back to the blaster shot and set its layer to shot. And then also what I'll do is set our player to shot layer. So layer, or sorry, to player layer. Okay. And yes, change the children. So everything's on that. One thing that we'll do too is we'll go under edit. We'll go down to project settings and to the physics. And down here, I don't know if we've ever seen this is sort of like a matrix of who can collide with who. So the player we don't want colliding with the shot, and the shot we don't want colliding with the shot because that's our own shot there. So just to avoid any collisions, we'll turn those two off. Okay. Now I think to make sure that those work, just hit save project. That will save everything. Let's take a look at this and see if things are working. Okay, so he's shooting, and now we don't have any collision problems. Oops. Yeah, maybe the height is off. You seem to be walking underneath. And those guys are still hitting. That's good. Okay, so let me just check this little guy here. He's 2 off the ground. Let's bring that down to about 1. Maybe even less than 1. Just make sure the collision's occurring. Okay, so the collision, oh, and he is firing. So definitely, definitely, and then it should last for about 10 seconds. Seems longer than 10 seconds. Okay, so we've got definitely an issue with the duration here. We'll have to figure that out. And are those shots actually hitting him now? I guess they are. We might have some issue with the shots. It seems to hit them initially, and then they stop moving. They don't seem to be going into death mode here. So and it could be just because we got so many shots and they're just not reacting properly. So let's just take a look at what we can fix here. So I think the issue here is that we created this delay P, right, sort of for the power up, and we set that to the delay, and the problem is then this never goes back. So I think I have to think about this for a second here. So the delay, so I think this one should be delay P. There we go. That makes more sense now. So we're creating this delay P, and so it's originally set to delay, but then we multiply it. So we keep delay as it was, and then that delay gets changed back. So the next fire time it goes back to regular. So I think that was the issue. Because that's going to do, and then there, and then that. Okay, let's take a look. I'm still not 100% convinced. I'm going to reduce this multiplier, maybe to 0.5. I think it was just shooting too much. It was making things a little confusing there, but at least we could see it. So let's just go up. Okay. Now it didn't seem to be faster anymore. More investigation. All right, I think I fixed it here. So delay P, right? We set that value to whatever the delay was, but then we multiply it by this delay multiplier, which 0.1 or 0.5 or whatever we want. That decreases the delay. So therefore, the next fire time, right, it is able to fire faster. And then, so it will instantiate the shots and launch, right? So this is the fire one. So that would have added the power up. And then that remove power up, right? So when we look at this here, we remove that power up. We disable, where is it? Remove power up. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure that out here again. So this was our disable after delay. So then remove that power up after that time. All right, so that should do it. Let's just double check everything's saved. And let me just reduce the duration there. So maybe 5 seconds. And we'll put this back to 0.5. So now Okay, so if we go in and we find our so now it's definitely firing faster. Okay, and then it goes back to normal, right? So there was a 5-second delay, so that looks pretty good. The last thing that we'll do here is just get the power up to reappear after a certain period of time. So let's just go back into our script here, onto our power up script, and we will call sort of create a, I guess, a cooldown. So let's put that in here, a serialized field again. Whoops. And we'll make that a float, and we'll call that cooldown. And then down here, where we've got sort of the disable after delay, right? That will reduce or stop the power up from working. What we'll do is we'll wait some more time. So I'm just going to grab this and copy it. And then we'll put this as the cooldown. And then what we have to make sure we do is just re-enable the collider and the renderer. So I'm just going to grab those two lines that go to. And then we'll just set both of these to true, right? So then that should give it some time for it to cool down. I don't think we set a time here, did we? So, I mean, you could set this to, you know, whatever, 10F, whoops, whatever the value you think is reasonable. Again, you may even do that randomly later on as you modify your game. So let's just see here. Hit play. So we're firing. We find that we speed it up. It should slow down any second here. Okay, I think it's slower now. And then let's just see if this guy's popped back in. Re-render. There it is. Yep. So after 10 seconds. There we go. Perfect. So let's end video 16 here, and we'll keep working in video 17. We've got pretty well the game done. We've got to work on, you know, the little bit of UI. I think that's probably what we'll get to next.